Alright, you guys, welcome in. We got One Piece chapter 1105 spoilers here in front of us, and today we are here to talk about the Void Century, because some things went down, and it turns out the Ancient Kingdom might still be around to this very day. So in this chapter, Vegapunk continues his monologue, and in the very beginning, he tells us that a great war took place hundreds and hundreds of years ago. We already knew this, but what I love, what put a smile on my face, was when he said that it was a clashing of two ideas, and Vegapunk himself can't tell which one is right and which one is wrong. The reason I like this is because I've always been of the mindset that the world government aren't exactly bad people. You know, you got your bad apples here and there in the world government, but they probably started with really good intentions, right? Like, imagine the Void Century. I'm like a broken record, but imagine the Void Century. They managed to get 20 kings and queens from different islands on their side to fight Joy Boy, right? Like, that takes a lot of effort. Joy Boy and or the Ancient Kingdom must have been a menace in the past to some extent. Maybe it was unintentional, but I do think that there was an impasse that they just couldn't get over, and I'm super excited to see what it is. I hate that Vegapunk is, he's jumping around the topic, because, Vegapunk, while he doesn't want to paint the full picture of the Void Century because he doesn't have all the information, it does sound like he knows what those two clashing ideologies are, but he's just not saying it right here, right? He's waiting for Robin to figure out herself. That is Oda's way of kind of coming in here and nerfing Vegapunk a little bit, right? We can't learn the entirety of the Void Century during this message. But yeah, we do get the notion that the world government might not have been that bad. And this right here nicely ties back into what Vegapunk said at the start of the broadcast. He said, hey guys, this message will start playing once my heart stops beating. But don't point your fingers too quickly, because I just don't know enough about him right now, which is most likely referring to Emu or even the world government as a whole. And yeah, man, I'm super curious to see what went down in the past. I mean, let's be real, we all are looking forward to the Void Century, right? And apparently, speaking of the Void Century, apparently we do get a Joy Boy silhouette in this chapter. And we also get some silhouettes of the crowned members of the old world government as well. All silhouettes. I'm not too sure if Oda is going to put a lot of effort into those panels. I hope so. I hope we get some really good silhouettes here, but you never know with Oda, right? We could get like an old school Kaido Big Mom silhouette, and then we cut to the actual Void Century, and then it's completely different. Or we could get a pretty one-to-one silhouette, like what we got at the Reverie with the Gorosei. We never know with Oda and his silhouettes, man. But yes, we do get that Joy Boy silhouette. Hopefully, it's not just a guy in a straw hat. I do want to see some defining features, right? I want to see if he is a Buccaneer, if he's a Lunarian, or if he's just human or a giant. I feel like a silhouette, even though Oda can just hide everything, it could go a long way if we know his body shape. But let me tell you guys, if Joy Boy had extra limbs, you're not gonna see me that week. I'm gonna say that you're not gonna see me that week if Joy Boy ends up having extra limbs, man. I hate the extra limbed races. They're so bad. They're so bad. So now, moving on to the next piece of information about the Void Century, and possibly the biggest piece of information, we learn that the Ancient Kingdom that existed 1,000 years ago is still around. It still exists to this very day. It's simply at the bottom of the ocean. Well, it's not like the bottom of the ocean. It's only 200 meters down. But yes, water levels rose 200 meters during the Void Century, and that effectively sunk the Ancient Kingdom. But Vegapunk says that they live in fragments of that continent. And I'm not gonna lie, that spoiler point made me scratch my head a little bit. And we'll get to that here in a second, but let's talk about the Ancient Kingdom first. So, knowing that the Ancient Kingdom is still around makes me believe that we're probably going to visit it, or at least a character we know of is going to visit it, because there's no way we just don't go there, right? Like, take a little vacation, take a road trip. Let's check out this Ancient Kingdom and see what is over there. And you know what? Since there is no reason for the Straw Hats to go there right now, I'm curious to see if the fourth road poneglyph is actually there. What if there's a character that knows about this, and this is where they took the road poneglyph? Because really, when you think about that fourth road poneglyph, where could it be? Elbaf? Probably Lodestar? Or the Ancient Kingdom? I think that'd be pretty big. But of course, that is just pure speculation. I'm still not too sure how the man marked by flames is going to tie in, and hell, we still don't even know who that is exactly. So yeah, I'm curious to see how Oda is going to tie the Straw Hats in with the Ancient Kingdom. So now, as far as where the Ancient Kingdom might have been located, I do have a couple of guesses I just want to throw out there, because these are places that always struck me as a little bit odd in the world of One Piece. And in my mind, I was like, yo, if we sink the water down 200 meters, maybe these islands or these locations could reveal the Ancient Kingdom. The first place would be Long Ring Longland. So when we first arrived at Long Ring Longland, we learned that it was an island comprised of 10 smaller islands that are all connected by a ridge you can only see once a year, once the water levels die down a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie, man, when we first got there, it always made me raise my eyebrows, because I was always curious to see what was at the very bottom of that island, what was in the center of all of it. You know, if we were to sink down that water 200 meters, could there perhaps be an ancient civilization down there? And could Tanjit and the rest of his tribesmen be a part of the Ancient Kingdom? The Ancient Kingdom that Vegapunk might be talking about in this chapter? I'm not too sure. So there is a spoiler point, which I mentioned a second ago. It says that Vegapunk says that they live in fragments of that continent. And I'm not too sure how to process that bullet point, because does that mean that the Ancient Kingdom is still alive and kicking above land? Because if that's what it means, then Tanjit and his gang fit that pretty damn well. But I'm not exactly too sure yet, so I do want to wait for the full spoilers before I go too crazy on that. But it is something to keep in mind, right? Like, oh, they live in fragments of that continent, and it's like, oh, shoot, like, are they still around? Are they still, like, moving around, making things? I have no idea. So after Long Ring Longland, though, the next place I go to is Thriller Bark. That place, the Florian Triangle, it is still shrouded in mystery. It is shrouded in mist. We have 3 giant pillars with eyes just kind of roaming around in there. We don't know what the hell is going on with that place. If you were to sink down that water level 200 meters, or if you got rid of the fog, what would it reveal? Yeah, that one I don't have too much to go on. But yeah, Florian Triangle, another strange place that we should keep in mind. And the next place I want to talk about is I don't even know what to call it, the giant whirlpool that is centered among Impel Down, Old Marineford, and
Enies Lobby.
That whirlpool would be an amazing place for the world government to hide the Ancient Kingdom, right? Because the problem with Long Ring Longland and Thriller Bark, or not Thriller Bark, but the Florian Triangle, is that people can easily go there, right? If they simply went underwater, well, they'd need like a fishman or like scuba gear, but if they went underwater, they would just find the Ancient Kingdom. I doubt the world government would want that. So they would probably have the Ancient Kingdom under lock and key. And the best place to do that would be in the middle of that whirlpool, because what's surrounding that whirlpool are the Gates of Justice. There's 3 giant Gates of Justice that we don't know how they got there or who made them even, right? When we first got introduced to the Gates of Justice, they were introduced as complete anomalies. Why are they so big? What is it protecting? Who even built them? We have no idea. The Gates of Justice just exist. They've been existent for hundreds and hundreds of years. So imagine, right? Imagine that the Ancient Kingdom is in the middle of that, and the world government at the time were like, hey, we can't get rid of this country 100%, so why not just put it in the middle of these
gates
to keep it permanently in suspension and make sure that nobody can actually go in there? I think that'd be pretty solid. I think that's my favorite one. But I do have one more wacky option I want to throw out there, which, you know, like I said, none of these have to be right. I just like guessing at this point. But I am curious to see if it might be Hachinosu, which sounds ridiculous. I know. But what if Hachinosu is like Easter Island? You know how we have those giant stone heads, but we know that underneath those stone heads is an actual body? What if Hachinosu is the exact same way? You know, what if the giant skull is just the head of Hachinosu, but if you sink it down 200 meters, you get the rest of the body? And that's why Blackbeard and Rocksteady Xebec really like Hachinosu. That's why Blackbeard wanted to repair Rocky Port. Maybe that's a port where you can go down and see the Ancient Kingdom. I'm not too sure. I don't want to put too many stocks in that one, but I do think that is a fun option to play around with. One reason I do like the Hachinosu route, besides the goofiness of it, is because of the skull head. So we have to remember that Joy Boy was the very first pirate who set sail on the open seas. And what distinguishes a pirate from a merchant or a government agent or etc. is the skull and crossbones. Why did Joy Boy fly the skull and crossbones? Why did he decide to become a pirate? Of course, it could mean something different to him, but, you know, every pirate does have the skull and crossbones. What if the reason why he flew the flag was because it was the symbol of the ancient kingdom? What if the skull and crossbones, Hachinosu, is what inspired Joy Boy? I think that'd be pretty cool, but of course, that is just a wacky guess in the dark. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything left to talk about. He talks about how the war's not over, how the ancient weapons will be used, Emu is silhouetted, and yeah, I guess the question I do want to leave off with you guys is, where do you think the ancient kingdom is? And also, how did you infer the bullet point where it says that Vegapunk says that they live in fragments of that continent? Because it does make it seem like they're still alive above water, but I don't know, you know, I don't want to make any crazy assumptions just yet. Besides that though, let me say it right here, but being a fishman comes with a lot of benefits, bro. Like, if you were a fishman crew, like Fisher Tiger and the boys, oh my god, you would be a menace to the world government. Now I know why they don't like fishmen, right? Fishmen could easily find the ancient kingdom if they tried. Like, dude, just imagine if all the fishermen just, you know, held hands and just sailed around the world. Like, they would find so much lost civilization. No wonder why Oda nerfed them with racism, right? Like, no wonder. It all makes sense now. On another note, it does make me super excited to see how Jinbei is going to play a big role in the future, right? Because the Straw Hats, half of us have devil fruits, so they can't exactly go underwater. So we do need Jinbei or, you know, Sanji to just go underwater for us and see what's down there. Or maybe we need a Straw Hat that specializes in ship coding so that we can all go down there and visit the ancient kingdom if that actually happens. And, you know, this does put into context why Rayleigh is a ship coder and why Crocus has Laboon. And it could even be another explanation as to why Shanks and his crew don't have devil fruits. You know, of course, the water is rising and, you know, you don't want to drown. But if you want to visit the ancient kingdom, you gotta swim, boys. You gotta swim. But hey, with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me on this little spoiler adventure. Let me know what was your favorite spoiler point here. What are you excited about? What do you think about Joy Boy silhouette? Will Oda actually give us something, or will it just be a guy in a straw hat, you know? Imagine it's just his head. The head we already know he has. Love it, love it, love it. Besides that though, what do you think about the world government? Are you more on board that they might have been in the right? Or do you still think that they are not justified at the end, since 900 years later, they just end up becoming corrupted? I would love to hear all your thoughts, opinions, ideas, and I will catch you guys when the full spoilers drop. My name is Sai. And also, I forgot to mention this, but why the hell did water levels rise 200 meters in the past? Yeah, I kind of forgot about the elephant in the room, right? I was like, hey, you know, Ancient Kingdom, weird Joy Boy silhouette, woohoo! But let me tell you, that water level rising is an anomaly. Like, brother, it took Leloucia being deleted to rise water levels by 1 meter. 1 meter equals 1 island. What caused water levels to rise 200 meters in the past? Did they Leloucia a bajillion king? Well, not a bajillion, that's an exaggeration, but did they Leloucia 200 kingdoms? Are there perhaps multiple holes underwater that we just haven't seen yet? That'd be kind of gross, huh? Imagine like all the water's drained and then there's just like a holy ball of earth. That'd be really strange looking. But hey, that would be the case if they did Leloucia 200 times. Or I guess another way we could look at it is that maybe that is the cause of other ancient weapons. Maybe Uranus, which if it is Uranus caused water levels to rise by 1 meter. Maybe Pluton causes a 10-meter rise in water. Maybe Poseidon causes a 100-meter rise in water. I feel like Poseidon would make a lot of sense since that is tied to water. And of course, it is tied to the Sea Kings and mermaids. So hey, maybe that's it. There's a lot of ways this could go about. Maybe even Emu has the power to bring about water, because Emu, you know, backwards is Umi. Rising water should be their specialty. But yeah, there is a lot of wacky stuff going on here. And on top of all the questions I just asked, I would love to hear, what are your theories about why water levels rose so much? Maybe it's a Joy Boy problem. Maybe Joy Boy was the reason why water levels kept on rising, and then the world government were like, hey, we gotta stop this guy because he's gonna kill us. I think that could be very plausible considering the fact that Joy Boy was friends with the mermaids back in the past, you know, because we do have Joy Boy's apology on Fishman Island. Maybe Joy Boy was the reason why water levels kept on going up. Well, maybe it's not Joy Boy, but it would be like the Ancient Kingdom or something related to them. I don't know. That's just my theory. But yeah, catch you guys later. Sai, signing out.